before we get into this episode, there's something that might be of interest that I wanted to tell you about. Scene and Herd, who run this podcast, have been asked by Scotland Food and Drink to undertake a strategic review of the Scotland Food and Drink Excellence Awards. Now, these Excellence Awards have been going for almost 20 years and are a huge mainstay of the food and drink sector. But it's time to ensure that they're still relevant. So if you have ever been involved in the Scotland Food and Drink Excellence Awards, or even if you've ever had an opinion about them, we would love for you, please, to complete our survey. So if you go to the On Farm Twitter, which is at @on_farm UK, and click the link in the bio, there will be a tab in there that will take you to the survey, and it should only take you a very short while to complete, but we would be enormously grateful.
Hello, welcome back to On Farm. It's Monty here again. This is the second of 2 episodes looking at the groundbreaking work of Scottish agri-tech company Dyneval. I'm back out on the farm this week, but for last week's episode, I was in the Dyneval lab at Edinburgh's Roslin Innovation Centre, and I was having a go at using the Dynescan portable pen-side livestock semen analyser. We're looking at a screen now. And now we can see what you would think of as tadpoles. They look like tadpoles that you would associate with maybe looking at a semen sample. Thankfully, whilst having a go with the tech, I was being supervised by one of the inventors, Dr. Vincent Martinez.
Well, it is your very first time you perform a semen motility measurements.
Cool.
So we claim in general in the progressive motility plus minus 3%, but most of the time it is a much smaller variation.
Yeah.
And we just demonstrated today with you.
The bit of kit, it's called Dynescan. It fits into a very durable case, not much bigger than a luggage hold-all, and provides highly accurate results of semen quality. The aim, say Dyneval, is to help farms be more profitable, improve fertility management, and, as we all know, more efficient farms reduce carbon footprints. If you're a sheep farmer like me, or if you're in the horse world, or even if you breed dogs, the technology should be rolling your way before the end of this year. But for now, it's already available for use with cattle. And for today's episode, I thought it would be interesting to hear from someone who's already using Dynescan, a farm vet based down near Bristol.
My name is Tom Oxtoby. I'm a vet at the George Farm Vets in Malmesbury in Wiltshire. I've been a vet for 23 years now. I do farm animal only, predominantly cattle.
So, Tom, great to have you on board. You say you're mainly a cattle specialist. You know, what's the day job? What are you mainly involved in?
Yeah, well, we have 18 farm vets in our farm department in the practice, and we look after clients throughout sort of Gloucestershire and Wiltshire. Like I said, we're predominantly cattle, and dairy would form a big component of that. We're in the sort of M4, M5 dairy corridor. But we also have a good number of beef farms. Not as many sheep flocks as they used to be. This historically used to be a real wool centre, but just the way it's changed over the years, not so much. And we look after clients ranging from 5 cows up to 1,500 in a real wide variety of systems. As you're probably aware, no 2 farms are the same. We have that mix down here, but dairy work would be the main facet of what we do. Yeah, and working with herds of 1,500, I mean, that's going to be farms at the top of the efficiency game. Absolutely. You know, there's a lot less farms about than there used to be, and the ones that have survived have had to have that sort of efficiency and level of skill and management and care of their animals in order to survive. So yeah, we work with some really great farmers who are, like you say, interested in maximum efficiency on their units. Yeah. So, in terms of, we're really looking at AI and semen and how that makes life more efficient on a dairy farm. What's your role in that job, as it were? Well, traditionally we do a lot of data analysis. Farms record a lot of data now. So we're always looking at fertility efficiencies being the cornerstone of an efficient farm, having that good fertility. And what it's been a lot of up to now is looking at conception rates, pregnancy rates, and the various factors that influence that. And of course, bulls are one of those. So historically, we've always tended to look at the results after the events happened. And if we have issues, it's sort of more of a historical what caused that. Whereas actually what we're always trying to do is to get ahead of the curve and prevent poor performance. And that was why we were interested in using this Dyneval system. This is more probably on the dairy farms where they use AI and do their own AI in a lot of cases. And it was analysing the results of their AI and finding perhaps that a bull hadn't performed, the conception rate to that bull had been poor, whereas all the other bulls had been fine, indicating perhaps on occasion that a reason may have been a subfertile bull, and the semen from that bull being subfertile more like. So what we wanted to do was to see if we could find a way of, yes, investigating those scenarios still, because they will occur, but also trying to be a bit proactive, especially with our, when you've got block calving herds about to serve a lot of cows in a very short space of time, they need to hit those fertility targets. And by the time you've come to your pregnancy diagnosis and discovered poor performance, it can be too late.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally get that. So it's all about making sure that you get it right pretty much first time.
Yeah.
And that's where I believe you've gone down the Dynescan route.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's right. And we do use it also for live beef bulls as well. We can take it out into the field, or which obviously is portable, so we can do that. And what it's done for both our beef bulls and when we're looking at AI straws, it's taken a lot of the subjectivity out of it. Before, a farmer would say, I'm not sure about these straws, can you check them? And I'd look down a microscope and I could say, yes, it's alive, or no, it's dead, but not with not a lot between that. And this actually gives us, it takes that human element out of it. It's the sort of the technical magic in the Dynescan box that will give you those repeatable figures, and that accurate data is just so important.
From your point of view, you say been in practice for 23 years, and you must be pretty experienced at looking at samples in the microscope and assessing whether they're viable or not. So do you need technology to replace that?
Well, I think we're always striving to improve the quality of what we're doing, and when there was no alternative, that was as good as we could hope for, and there was a benefit in that. There are other options. There have been other options where there's a couple of specialist centres where you can send semen to be tested, but it's not local. You can't do it quickly, and obviously the additional expense and time involved with that was stopping a lot of farmers perhaps considering it. So to be able to have it on site and on farm, and to produce a report that doesn't matter if it's me looking at it or one of my colleagues, it will give the same answer. That's where the benefit really is. And vets, we love data and we love facts, and the less subjectivity you can get out of something, the better for us. And in the interpretation of it, you can be a lot more specific, and you've just got that information at your fingertips. So that was what really appealed, and why we started using it.
Yeah, so it basically gives you confidence, and therefore the client confidence, as it were, that what you're doing, it's not just your interpretation of the results. It's and
the sort of cost involved, yes, of the semen, but also of the cost of poor fertility and the effect on farm businesses if something isn't working can be significant. So to have the added backup of a proven, accountable system, is good for us, and it's good for the farmer as well, because it takes that element of slight uncertainty out of it. And Dyneval showed me some really interesting statistics when we took the machine on, they looked at the progressive motility score done by eye of lots of vets, and these were vets who have done it, have got experience in this, and how consistently different the actual score was. And it basically told us what we sort of knew. It was what we were doing was the very first step in this, whereas this has taken it to a whole new level of accuracy.
And that accuracy can be delivered, and I know Dynaval talk about it, it's what they say pen side. So as you say, you're not sending these samples off to a laboratory. There's not the transport and making sure they're transported in timely and proper way, etc. It's all done there and then.
Absolutely. And actually, the semen that's produced by the genetics companies is really rigorously quality tested at the point of production, when it leaves the sort of the factory or lab, so to speak. But from there to getting into the cow, there's a whole range of steps that involve humans and therefore potentially human error in terms of transport, handling. The semen tank might get a split in it and the liquid nitrogen goes down. There's lots of things that can affect that quality that was absolutely fine when it left the factory, but when you put it in the cow is not. And that's where we see this as a valuable addition, because you can add that level of reassurance and checking at the point at which it's about to go in the cows. So we have lots of different scenarios crop up that we investigate semen quality for, and it's not about saying, oh, that bull's a rubbish bull, because if it's made it into a genetics company's catalogue, it's going to be a really good bull.
Yeah. So in terms of the advantages, the benefits to your clients, your customers, have you seen immediate sort of results in terms of performance, etc.?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've not been using it for very long, but some of the things that I've been able to do already have been really encouraging. Lots of different scenarios, but one we had was a farmer had bought some very expensive Wagyu beef semen from Australia a few years ago, and it's been in his tank, and for some reason all the straws have been dropped inside the tank and were just sitting in the bottom of the tank for over 3 years. He hadn't realised that the flask holding them had done this. Anyway, he went to finally use these and discovered that they were all in the bottom, and he didn't know if they were any good or not. And to replace them with some replacement ones, it's so expensive, and the import. So he sent one up to we took one of his straws and ran it through the machine, and we were able to see, despite the fact that it had been swimming around in the bottom of the tank, it had stayed frozen, was actually of excellent quality. So he was able to use those straws with confidence, without having to, go to the expense and uncertainty that they might not be any good. So we're waiting on the actual conception rate results on those, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be. And then the other thing, we've got a lot of block calving herds, as I said, and the autumn calving blocks have been being served in the last month, 2 months. We did a lot of testing of those farms where we tested one of each batch of the different bulls they were going to use. And in a couple of instances, we identified one bull amongst the pack that was below where we thought it should be. It's the same with live bulls. In a lot of those situations, the good bulls will mask the poor performance of the not so good bulls. So you end up actually having pretty decent results, but you could have better results if all of the bulls that you're using are firing on all cylinders. And what we did, we worked with the genetics companies involved, where we identified something we were concerned about, and they could compare the data I was getting on my Dynescan with their expected data from their quality control, and that gives you an idea if something's changed between it leaving the factory and then being tested. So that proactive approach, I think, has been really appreciated by these farmers. We're doing a lot of pregnancy diagnosis on those block calving herds at the moment, and we will be looking at those results that we get conception rate wise by bull, and comparing that to the to the data that we got on the Dynescan, and it's a relatively new system, so we're really interested in following through on all of these to see, just to help our interpretation. And I've been working with Dynaval on this to look at the down the line and get more and more valuable information out of it. So it's relatively early days, but we've already managed to pull out some bulls that otherwise would have potentially affected the performance of some of these herds.
Presumably you've been working with some of these herds for a number of years, so you know the general trend in terms of their conception rates, etc. So you'll be able to say, even though it's early days with Dynescan, you'll have a comparator of going back a few years. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, as you know as well, there's multiple elements to fertility success. It can be a whole range of things. And to be honest, semen quality, because the general level of semen quality is relatively low down that when you think about nutrition and disease and all the other things that factor in it. But it is an important factor as well. And our job is to try and maximize the opportunity for those animals to conceive successfully. And it doesn't matter how healthy the cows are or how well fed. If the semen isn't up to the job, then it's not going to get in calf. So this is just another tool in our armory for sort of helping those farmers, and I think it'll be used more and more.
So Tom, we had our sheep scanning last week, and I have a sleepless night the night before. So I know what it's like when you're waiting on, to see the results of tupping in my case, but I know what it's like, and I can only, I can somehow imagine what a Wagyu customer that's paid a lot of money for semen from Australia must have been feeling like. So what you're doing with Dynescan, giving that reassurance, must make a huge difference to people like that.
Yes, I think it does. And, there are a wide range of, that's a bit of an extreme example, I suppose, but even just on a relatively normal dairy herd, for a straw of sex semen, you're looking at 30 to 40 pounds a go. Before you even start on the expenses associated with other expenses associated with poor fertility. So it's a big investment that's being made, and with the sort of average herd size ever increasing, the amount being bought in one go is getting bigger and bigger. And it was really interesting, actually, just before I joined this interview, I had a call from a customer who actually from one of the they sell AI straws, and they've got a really big herd of cows that they've had some issues on, and there's a batch of, I think it was 500 straws of Aberdeen Angus semen, and they're getting the early signs of worrying, so they want me to check them out. And they think there's been an incident during transport, but before it goes any further, they can get a definitive answer from me. They're just down the road. They're away from their home base where they can get it checked. So they're going to bring that in, and we'll look at that tonight or tomorrow morning, and an answer will be there, and then they can then either replace that batch or go forward. But the thought of 500 straws being used and only being discovered afterwards that they haven't performed, I mean, it gives me the sort of a bit of a shudder. Never mind the producers that are involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is becoming a sort of valuable service that you can offer from your business point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on a number of points, I mean, farming and farm veterinary work is changing a lot, and we still do the day-to-day carving the cow, sick cow calls, like we've always done, but that forms less and less of what we do, and more it is about proactive veterinary work, working as part of a farm team with the farmer, the nutritionist, the breeding consultant. And so things we can do that adds value to that is good for the customer. It provides a real interest for us as vets. This is, like I say, I've been doing bull fertility testing for a long time, and this is allowing me to take that to the next level and get into it on a much more detailed basis, which is really interesting for us. So all around, it's things like this that will help us progress as a profession and for our clients as well. So yeah, it's exciting to be involved. It's certainly something that I saw it as an opportunity in that respect. It adds to our level of expertise that we already have. It's something that we can offer to our clients and to other people through our contacts in the industry who may not have access to it. We work very closely with some of the genetics companies, and they like having someone who's an independent body or person that can reassure their customers, on the quality of their products and things like that. So absolutely, it's something that our clients will benefit from. It's something that we'll benefit from. Like I said before, it's an interesting subject to be involved with, and certainly I hope it will allow us to be involved more and more with our customers in what they see as something that's very valuable to do.
I always think that any drive for efficiency, we shouldn't probably say maximising, but optimising efficiency in farming now isn't just about the bottom line, is it? It's also about, if we're more efficient, we actually have less of a carbon footprint. We actually we produce more for less. So what you're suggesting there, and increasing fertility, is a win-win for the environment too. Absolutely, and sustainability is a huge part of everybody's lives now, and that certainly applies to farming. And what we've seen is a real upsurge in interest and investment by farming clients in things that will reduce their carbon footprint. Producers are starting to value that in different ways, and certainly legislation will be dictating it before too long. And farming is often an easy target for people looking to address carbon issues and sustainability issues. So farmers I think are doing a huge amount of stuff which will help them as individuals and us as an industry sort of move that forward. And fertility efficiency is one of the biggest savings they can make and efficiencies that they can make. And absolutely, it's going to be a big part of what we're all doing. Huge thanks to vet Tom Oxtoby. It was great speaking with him. If you're looking for this kind of service and you're in his neck of the woods around Wiltshire and Gloucestershire, you can find Tom at the George Farm Vets. To find out more about Dynescan, the technology developed right here in Scotland, the web address is dyneval.com, and we've put that in the show notes for this episode too. Your usual reminder, as I always do, I tell you about it, the On Farm podcast is produced by our team at Scene&HerdPR and Marketing. So give us a shout anytime if you have any questions about comms or marketing for any aspect of your rural or agricultural business. And with that, that's it from me, and bye for now.